Confident Putin warns Europe is defenseless?
Here's a summary of the article.
EPA. Ever since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Moscow has been engaged in nuclear saber-rattling, dropping a series of not-so-subtle hints that trying to defeat a nuclear power like Russia could have disastrous consequences for those who try. Today President Putin claimed that Russia wouldn't need to use a nuclear weapon to achieve victory in Ukraine. The Kremlin leader said he did not rule out changes to Russia's nuclear doctrine, the document which sets out the conditions under which Russia would use nuclear weapons. Russia is waging war in Ukraine, a war which is now in its third year. As a result, Russia is the most heavily sanctioned country in the world. Earlier this week, at a meeting with international news agency chiefs in St. Petersburg, President Putin suggested that Russia might supply advanced conventional long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets. You can keep thinking that Russia is bluffing and then, one day, there is no more Great Britain to laugh at. Don't you ever try to push the Russian bear thinking that, oh, it's a kitten, we can play with it. Russia has been using this year's event to try to show that, despite Western sanctions, there are plenty of countries in the world who are ready to do business with Russia.
This post received a score of 5,100, with an upvote ratio of 91%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Notice how the West has not once threatened Russia with nukes despite all the threats Putin and his goonies make and everything they've done so far.
That's cause the US understands that if you need to make threats then you don't actually have any power.
Any man who must say, "I am the king," is no true king.
I am the king. I am the king.
The king is tired. See him to his chambers.
I am not tired.
Same guy that thought he would steamroll over Ukraine?
The level of self-delusion continues to rise in the Kremlin.
I thought it peaked a while ago, but turns out they can go much higher.
There's no limits.
The limit does not exist.
Spoken like a true mathlete.
Eventually dictators only believe in their hallucinations.
Eventually, delusions and their own propaganda led him to believe Russians would be welcomed in February 2022 with fucking flowers.
Lukashenko's famous 3 days to take Ukraine.
I still haven't forgotten the convoys from the first days that were found packed full of riot gear to put down civilian dissenters. They were that confident they would steamroll Ukraine that they packed dress uniforms for the welcoming parade.
So who fled whose capital from the imminent, perceived, wrath of their former personal chef again?
Defenseless, LMAO. Isn't Russia very exposed right now with this war going on? China could easily steal so much on the east side if they truly wanted. Just a dumb nothing article.
Not long ago the world watched the Wagner Group almost implode Russia with a relatively small convoy. Didn't seem very well defended when the rebellion cut through hundreds of kilometers with close to zero resistance.
They always bring up nukes when their illegal invasion is not going well. Pure desperation. Didn't Ukraine recently destroy radars for Russian early warning systems?
Also, the flexing of nuclear weapons numbers is ridiculous, given that whilst France and the UK do have fewer, 500 plus warheads would be plenty. Hell, 100 warheads would be enough for Russia's western population centers. France has a nuclear warning shot policy FFS.
What does this mean exactly? Curious, because I love the French and they don't fuck around.
If France thought Putin had the actual balls to use nukes, they would use theirs first.
And I appreciates that about them. So tired of this motherfucker.
A single Royal Navy SSBN could level the 5 biggest Russian cities at a moment's notice. Imagine what all of NATO could do. The rot in Putin's brain has clearly taken over any final vestige of normality in there.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.